is now.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at what got me into technology, it's very difficult to say like a starting point to it.
Mm.
But I think my mother helped a lot in this front. I remember her taking me to these model railroad club meetings and trying to get me into railroading, which you had to make all these fancy models and stuff like this. So I think that got me started. And I remember this uncle from all places, Tissa Maharama, who would come to Colombo once in a while for his business, and he taught me how to do soldering and circuit design
Okay.
when I was about, I would say, 10 years old or something. So I think those kind of helped me to get into engineering, technology, opening stuff and trying to see how to repair things. So yeah, it was a mix of things, I think.
So can we see the first electric train then from Vega Innovation soon,
That's
perhaps?
right, yes.
One of those Japanese style bullet trains.
Right,
I
yeah.
don't think-
Yeah. Actually, funny story, we built this electric train for a science competition at school
Okay.
when we were about 11 years old. I remember, it was me and my buddies getting together at my house. And we worked all night on getting this little tiny train to move by electricity, by
Yeah.
magnetism.
Right.
And we won some award from that competition also. I can't remember exactly, but so.
So I suppose it's little victories like that that perhaps encourage you to take up a career in engineering and the sort, right? I mean,
Absolutely,
when did
yeah.
you realize that?
I think I always wanted to be an engineer when I was doing my O levels, when I was doing my A levels. I was looking for options. I didn't get enough good marks to go to the local university, but I went to this university called ITS in Navala. Those days it was the hotspot.
Right.
And then I moved to the US to complete my degree. So I think it's just one thing led to another, kind of snowballed into where I am today.
Okay, well,
These young engineers from local universities, well, not all engineers, there are designers, all sorts of people, and we have done something that was unthinkable to do in Sri Lanka. But using those same expertise, we have got into agriculture technology, we have got into electric vehicle charging technology, we are building solar home battery systems, especially for the blackout these days. We are building solar inverters. So really we have got into a place where we could do any product engineering in this country, as long as we can figure out how to market it and make money out of it.
so it really is wherever the need lies, isn't it? Like, so, I mean, perhaps you wouldn't have expedited something like a solar battery or solar inverter if it wasn't for the current blackouts that we're experiencing. Is it really where the supply is required?
Absolutely, yeah, we've been watching the markets to see where technology can help the people.
Yeah.
And if you build the right technology at the right cost, with the best quality that we can produce, then I think there is a market good enough for the local community. And then we want to take that out of Sri Lanka and export it to other countries around Sri Lanka as well.
Right.
And we have done that with the electric vehicle chargers. We are installing them in India now. Exporting a high-tech electric vehicle charger from Sri Lanka to India is really unheard of.
Yeah.
Because
You
India
would
itself.
have expected the other way around.
That's right. That's right. Because India itself has EV charging manufacturers, but we have shown that software can help, IT can help.
Yeah.
Where you put a lot more value addition than the counterparts in India and China.
Wow.
Especially in India, in Bangladesh, Philippines, Myanmar. These countries have more IT graduates. They have more companies. They have more startups. And a lot of more these Fortune 500 companies have come to India to set up shop. And I think that is not happening at a good enough pace in Sri Lanka. And this is where you start to see that maybe the IT industry is not going at its at the speed that we want to.
Well, when you spend about, what was it, 500 million for a software that didn't work for 7 years?
Right, right. Yeah. I think because the IT industry is so strong in Sri Lanka, the government tenders must go to them.
Yeah.
But we have this tendency to give these tenders to either foreign companies or to pet companies that that
Right.
gets better perks and whatnot,
Perks, yeah,
to say the
that's-
least. So I think that needs to change, and I think at a policy level, we need to look at how we do tenders, how we do procurement for IT softwares, and open up the market for the startups to get in. And I
Yeah.
think that is what really lacking in this country right now.
You mentioned about how there are some major corporations in Sri Lanka that are actually helping keep the IT industry afloat here, by contracting for long periods of time and getting all their work done. Now, I want to get to the private sector eventually, but I think the big elephant in the room here is actually the public sector. I feel like, in my personal opinion, I feel like the public sector is way behind when it comes to information technology, as opposed to the private sector. So I want to ask you about why you think this adapting to a fully functional IT system in a lot of all these government organizations and generally the public sector, why it's taken so long for that adaptation to happen, if you will.
So individually, each department, each institution have been spending a lot of money on IT projects.
We're talking about the public sector here.
Public sector,
Yeah.
yes. For example, the Ministry of Health, the 500 million project that you talked about.
Yeah.
But there is no synergy between these softwares. They operate on their own, and the employees of that institution itself doesn't use that software, or they prefer to use the old method of writing it down somewhere and not using the
Right.
digital system. So getting people to transition over is very important. And also what is important is that these softwares need to talk together, because then only you get the real rich value of digitalization. Because if you're having to when you want to transfer a file from Ministry of Health to, let's say, the Ministry of Education,
Yeah.
if you have to print it out or write it down
Put it
from
in
the
a file
computer,
and-
then it doesn't make any sense at all. So we need that synergy to come in, and this is what we need to do at a national policy level.
Yeah.
The digital minister level. These are the things that needs to happen.
So it has to come from. It's funny. So the answer lies within the public sector itself. Then, if we talk about the education ministry, the health ministry, all these ministries that are the foreign employment and all that are still very reliant on pen, paper, and nothing else. It has to come from the digital minister himself, as you said.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what we're lacking is the right policy and regulations and set of rules to enable this. If you don't have a equal playing field for digitalization to come in, then it doesn't matter if you spend 500 million or a billion rupees, you can't make it happen.
Yeah.
So you need to have that kind of the playing field set up properly for this to work. Good examples out there like Estonia, Denmark, and South Korea, where e-governments have saved millions and millions of dollars on a daily basis. And they have really digitized.
And that's because of the digitization, as you were saying.
Yes, exactly. And this is not. I'm not talking about a form that you can fill on a website. That is not true digitization. Yes, it's some form of digitization, but let's take the passport, right? You have to go to the passport office with the form, with the photos. Yes, the photos are digitized now, but still you have to go to that office to do it.
It's a physical thing.
That's right. So
Yeah.
people from Anuradhapura, from Batiklo, they all have to travel to Colombo or someplace to do it. And that's why you see so many people out there. And that's why most people want a day, one-day service passport,
yeah.
because they are not in a hurry to get the passport. They are just wanting to get this done on a single day, so they
Yeah.
don't have to come back over and over again.
It's the hassle.
Yes, but if you take Estonia or South Korea, for example, you don't have to go to the passport office. You go to your local bank or to your Grama Niladhari. You get the digital signature from them into the system, and if you can prove that it's you that's applying for this passport, then it's not necessary for you to come to a passport office.
Yes.
You can get this done at any place. for good example is the election process. We don't go to an office to get ourselves the voting right, to get an election form. We go to the Grama Niladhari. This is the most basic, fundamental thing, democratic thing that we are responsible of. And that we don't go to any office, we go to the Grama Niladhari. So if we can do that for the voting right, then why not for any other services that we have in this country?
Absolutely. I mean, it goes, I mean, we talk about
That's right. No country has ever done it before. So we were just sitting ducks, waiting for this food catastrophe to happen. But if you take the chemical fertilizer, there is enough ways where IT can help to manage, the distribution and the application of fertilizer.
Okay.
You can manage distribution through logistical softwares, through tracking if you need to ensure that the proper farmers and the rightful places get the right amount of fertilizer. Then on the application side, we as AI Grow, our agriculture company, has shown that we can have sensor-based systems where you can monitor the amount of fertilizer on the soil or in a watery kind of a solution, so that you can remotely monitor that and to ensure that the proper application procedures are done for the fertilizer. So there's enough ways that around the world that people have shown that this can be done. There's enough technology in Sri Lanka that we could help do this, but there is no motivation in this country to do it. It's just the same old way of distributing the fertilizer. People at the wrong end of things gets the privilege of getting more fertilizer versus the other. Then the black markets take over. So there's a lot of people benefiting from this broken system that changing it is a a challenging task.
Well, I want to take you back, however, before it all began. Now, I'm not sure if you are, but try and help me out here with this question, right? Do you think information technology played a role in convincing the higher ups that this change can be possible? This change from just change to organic can be made possible.
Maybe I don't know to what extent, but with social media and all of the fake news that is going on, it's easy and very likely that somebody could just get into an echo chamber. If you search for organic fertilizer is better, let's say in Facebook, all you see the whole day is that the organic fertilizer is better. Chemical fertilizer is bad. So, few days of that, you might convince yourself that this is the right way to go. And, there's ample ways of, how people have got into various echo chambers in this country for various issues. So I think that might have led to, this kind of problem where you don't take the right advice from people. You don't take constructive criticism as a positive thing.
Or you just believe the wrong advice.
That's right. Yes.
As you say, I mean, fake news on social media, that also boils down to information technology to some extent. At least.
That's right. Yeah.
But that's just one of the many pressing issues that you brought up. You actually said by name the passport or the ID office, which has become such a hassle for a lot of people. You bring it down even further to your local municipal councils, your Grama Sevakas all over the country. You have like one Grama Sevaka for like 600 people sometimes. It's all paperwork, as we discussed earlier. Land registry, it's another place when you're trying to get the land from under one person to another. Right. It takes ages. Absolutely. Because of Patiru and all of that stuff. But we're talking about record keeping here and things like that. Many processes that involve record keeping. It could easily, and I mean easily, be eradicated. The process, the speed of all of that could be sped up with IT, right? So, what do you think? What opinions do you have, Beshan, about the changes that, for example, what changes would you make to smoothen up all those processes?
Recently we worked with the Ministry of Health on a voluntary basis to put together a committee of experts to look into the software issues, to see how IT industry leads can get involved on a pro bono basis to figure out how to have better security, better portability of data, how to manage the software development work so that it benefits the country. And I think more of that is needed. More IT leaders need to come out, and not for financial incentives, but because the love for the country, they should look at how to help the country with all these
Yeah.
IT infrastructure work that is going on. And if we do that, we have some of the most brilliant minds in this country.
Yeah.
We make the multi-billion-dollar softwares for the biggest companies in the world, and they trust us.
Yeah.
Right. So if those minds can come together and build a system for Sri Lanka, there shouldn't be any challenge that they can't overcome.
Right.
So I think that is very, very important.
And these systems that you talk about, these can be applied to literally anything, right? I mean, I could talk about, the bus association, for example. They can use IT to improve the bus services. At least finding out how many buses are on the road. I don't think they even have that kind of information, or trains, or whatever it is, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah. I mean, you look for digital data in this country. It's very hard to find it. We were doing this donation drive through a group called Madamawata that I'm part of. That we worked with Keels. There is no registry of needy people. There is no registry of disabled families.
Yes.
There is no digital registry of pregnant mothers in this country. It is kept in some book or some sort of a document, but it's not digitally available.
So it's not reliable then.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, we got some information from one of the Gramaniladari. The phone numbers are outdated. It's not the right person. The addresses are not the right addresses.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to track them and kind of help them. So this is where we need kind of a system reset as to how we want to approach this problem.
I mean, you talked about, the example you gave right now about the registry of, needy people.
Right.
I'm sure it's, because we can chalk that down to being a variable thing, needy being a very subjective word.
Absolutely.
But, if there's something more definitive, for example, how many doctors do we have? Does the Ministry of Health actually know how many doctors are in the country? Does the Ministry of Education really know how many teachers we have in the country? I highly doubt that.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, these are these should be publicly available data that people should be able to filter out and find out. Which cities had the highest density of doctors or teachers. What are the statistics of each entity and whatnot. I think the statistical department does data collections on a random kind of a basis, and I heard that those data are very
the census guys,
census
right?
data is like they do collect good data is what I'm hearing, but the access to that data for digital systems is still not there. And I think this is where we need to have better policies, because if you have a policy that all these data has to be be able to talk to one another,
synergy that you were talking about.
Yes, exactly. Then you can any department can create any kind of a software system that adheres to these standards, and then it would help another department somewhere else in the country. So
fantastic. So there
that's
you
what
go.
we need.
Well, the question started with how can IT help? Well, there you just heard it from the horse's mouth, right there. How IT, information technology, can actually help. At least put a cap on some of these things. So. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'll tell you what, Beshan, we have much more.
Technology helps society, and I think it's important to understand that technology will help the government workers. Government workers shouldn't feel like technology will take their job away. I really feel that if you have a good IT system in place, then you don't need to get them to come to work for 5 days. You can actually give them the Friday off and get enough work done for the 4 days, still save money for the country. And I think it needs to be...
That is something they've actually talked about. I think they've pretty much implemented it for the public
That's
sector.
right, yeah, but that was for a different reason. It was because they wanted to save on the transport and on diesel and bus transport and all of these things. But you could save all of that money if you had a technology system, right? They can work from home. You can get more productivity using digital systems. So IT has to be looked at as a positive thing, and I think the people in the parliament does not kind of see it that way. One, because they are too old to think that way.
Yeah.
Number two is that it breaks the kind of the system that they have got used to, that they have benefited from. And if you bring digital systems, corruption would be less. It won't completely eradicate it, but it would become less. And for a bunch of thieves, who would want that?
Right.
You don't want to take your lunch money away.
Yeah.
So they want to stick to the old systems, and this is why people need to understand that when they go out to vote, when they look for people to elect, that they look for progressive people who takes digital technology seriously,
Yeah.
and who wants to implement new technologies into the country. And I think it's very important.
So judging by it's a combination then of when we're talking about these people in their senior years, it's a combination of people who don't really understand the value of it, and B, people who might understand the value of it, but they don't want to get into it because that might take away whatever they're making right now.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying all our
Yeah.
ministers are like
Of course,
this.
yeah.
There are some good, bright stars out there, but majority, they don't understand the value of technology. I mean, they don't even have the ability to ask the right questions from people who
Right.
Develop technology in this country. I mean, if that is the level that we are talking about, then how can you move this country, right? I mean, you look at the Indian people in their ministerial levels. These guys have PhDs. I mean, and other experience in the industry. Even if they don't have, they understand what technology, how it changes their country, how it changes the communities around them. So we need leaders like that. We need people like that put into parliament so that they can create the policies and the environment that Sri Lanka can thrive on.
Right. Okay. Charge of the country. But when you talk about senior citizens, your average senior citizen, why do you think there is resistance from them to change into a more information technology driven lifestyle?
Our senior citizens have also got used to the same kind of old ways of doing things. Just the biggest technology thing they might use is watching TV or using the refrigerator sometimes, right? We need them to get into smartphones, into web-based information, but then we have to be careful that they get the right information. You don't want them get sucked into fake information. And something very interesting happened during the Aurudu season this year with the Aragale that is going on. That people who are going back to their villages, the young people, there was a call for them to go talk to your parents or your grandparents or the older people at your villages to make them understand what is going on with the Aragalaya, bring technology in, show them pictures and videos of what's happening, so that they will realize for themselves that this is a good thing that is happening.
Right.
So I think we or the younger generation must take it their responsibility also to educate the older generation, their parents. Because if you just stay silent, then nothing will move. You will get the same result over and over again.
Okay, all right. So it's segue into that segment of people as well. We talk about the senior citizens, but I believe younger generations probably understand more about the value of how IT could just smoothen up their lives, really. And especially when it comes to the education system, right? Because there are a lot of engineering advances and a lot of information technology advances. You see it all over the world. People, barely any kids carrying school bags anymore. They just, they show up at school. Everybody's got a machine or a desktop or at least a laptop in front of them. So, do you think that we could have a bigger presence of information technology in students' lives, for example, in Sri Lanka, to make their, the education process smoother?
Absolutely, and I think our parent company, Cogen International, is one of the companies that have a software solution for schools and for school children. In 2016, 16, 17 time frame, I think we introduced a digital platform for them to do their studies on a tab.
Okay.
There was a huge media, scandal going on about tab education those days, right? Remember, some people came out and said tabs will make you impotent, and
Yes, I
all these
remember
other
that.
issues. So if that is the mindset, how can we bring technology into this country? I mean, these are the people that we have elected to the parliament who thinks tabs are dangerous to people's reproductive system, for God's sake.
That is
So we need to come out of this, and one important aspect of this is we measured tab students with using the tab versus using traditional methods. And the students who used the tab had better results for the same exams that everybody sat
Right.
for. So it helps. It will help. You don't need to go pay for all these tuition classes. You don't need to spend all your valuable time after school going for another tuition
Yeah,
class where
yeah.
you could do sports or other activities to have a better kind of a life. So digitalizing education will have so many benefits, and it will level the playing field for the Colombo students to the rural students,
Right.
Because technology could be, it's accessible everywhere.
anyone, yeah.
We have a very good 3G coverage in this country, 93%, I think. Of course, we need to do more, but that will help immensely for the students in the rural sections. as
So,
well.
do you think there's something deeper there? They come up with the most ridiculous reasons as to why information technology and education can't go hand in hand. Is there perhaps a deeper reason that's perhaps being unspoken of?
I always wondered that as well, as to why would somebody think this way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not practical, it's not ethical to bring up all these false issues. And I think in Sri Lanka, anytime a government tries to do something, the opposition tries to make it a negative thing, tries to break that down and kind of pull it apart
Right.
for the wrong reasons.
Right.
They should support the right things and only criticize
Regardless
the
of
bad
where it's
things.
coming from,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It doesn't matter if it's your party versus somebody else. If they're doing the right thing, support it.
Yeah.
Because people want that from you. We don't want negativity in this country. We have enough and more negativity, right? Every day you wake up, there is something more horrific that is happening that you need to deal with. And so we urge our members of parliament to work together to come up with better solutions for us, rather than infighting and not spending enough time in parliament. You have 5 days there at the parliament, only 2 days.
Yeah.
And
As we just saw.
we are working 7 days a week trying to keep up with everything that is happening, while they take these 3-day holidays.
Yeah.
Why? Right? Why? I mean, who gives them that right to do that?
Exactly. When we're out here trying to obviously putting in a lot more.
Right, exactly.
It'll be fun to watch the speakers trying to figure out where the mute button is if you put them all on a Zoom meeting. Though. How do I mute?
That's right.
How do I mute this mic?
Yes.
If not anything else, at least it'll be entertaining. But, there you have it, folks. We are still in conversation with the very esteemed Dr. Beshan Kulapala. We're done with now the second hour of the show, in fact, but we can't let him go just yet because this is such a fascinating conversation. We're going to get into another track and be right back on the other side with more questions. Your time has just trickled over to 9 o'clock. A very good morning. Gone unaddressed for so long that are finally coming into the light about a resistance from the higher ups that really shouldn't be the case when it's actually beneficial to everybody. The whole country's living. Beshan, of course, we're talking to Dr. Beshan Kulapala.
Although he asked us to call him Beshan.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we call him
Right?
doctor the whole time.
Well, I mean, he's such a cool dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Cool dude, yes.
You don't become the director the co-founder of Vega Innovations without being a cool guy, right?
Yeah,
And making
he
a
is pretty
supercar.
cool.
Because he talked about his fascination with engineering, but I'm also sure he had a fascination with fast cars. But there you have it. So, Beshan, I want to tell you about something that I personally think, right? I personally think especially after having listened to every single word you said. I've been hanging on to every single word you said for the past hour. I personally am, have the opinion that people who are forward thinking, people who are innovative, people who are looking for solutions all the time, those are the right kinds of people, like yourself, that are required to take this country forward, to be in leading positions in this country. So I want to ask you this question. Would you ever considering entering the fray of politics through the national list? And if so, if you would, what changes would you go about making?
Um, I'm humbled that you asked this question from me. I would love to. I think I have been grappling with this for the last few years as to what biggest value that I can provide to the country, and I think even though we spend all our time on all of these innovative things that we do, I think change in this country needs us to be involved at a much higher level,
Yeah.
where we can influence policies and regulations, make better rules, that we can bring in technology into this country and kind of expand it to what this country can really be capable of.
Yeah.
If I'm privileged enough to have that kind of an opportunity, I would take it. I would love to then focus my time on technology, on innovation, and enabling hundreds of other startups like Vega and AI Grow and ChargeNet and others
Yeah.
to make better technology, to build even more faster cars or economical vehicles
Right.
that can help bring in export oriented businesses to this country. So again, it could be a privilege, but let's see what the future holds.
It'd be great because we see a lot of people clamoring for people like such as yourself, especially after what's transpired over the last 3 to 4 months. We see a lot of people clamoring, saying, "You mess with the wrong generation." Well, your generation, I think perhaps is what exactly is required. So if what changes, like I said, if you were if you had the opportunity to get into that, would you actually be trying to harbor for change into a more innovative, more information technology based changes, if you will?
Absolutely. I mean, let's take, for example, PayPal, right? There's so many youngsters out there who could earn foreign dollars if they had access to PayPal.
Mm.
We as a country is still struggling to enable this.
Yeah.
I would like to, spend my time talking to people as to why we can't get this done. See how to unblock it. What rule changes that we need to do in Parliament to enable this.
Mm.
Let's take the passport office, the national identity card.
Mm.
Why are we not digitizing it? When we talk about digitizing the NIC, we talk about giving it to Pakistan or some other country.
Yeah.
Why not use Sri Lankan technology for this NIC, which you need to have the best security to protect our data. So those things I want to be part of. I can I have shown that I can bring people together, bring leaders together to help on a certain causes.
Yeah.
So I think that is my biggest strength. I feel.
Yeah.
That I think I want to use that for bigger policy changes in this country.
You think you can convince the dinosaurs?
Well, I mean, we have, when we started the electric car, nobody thought we could do it. There is a TV program that I went to we didn't even have a car at the time. I just came from the States. I went up on it and said, we will beat Ferrari and Lamborghini. And I got so much, hate comments on for that, saying that, this AV had come and kind of, giving all these false promises. Because by that time, people had, already promised water-driven cars to air-driven vehicles,
Right.
all sorts of other, fake stuff. But we have come out of it. We have shown that technology, we can do all of this here in Sri Lanka. So with that kind of a technology backing, I think I can convince some dinosaurs to
All right.
to move forward.
Well, we saw one person in America who, after years of getting hate comments like that and being basically ostracized as a very weird human being, now he's managed to convince a lot of dinosaurs himself. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes, we're talking about Elon Musk, and you are now. He at the very beginning of the show said that you're the Sri Lankan Elon Musk, right?
That's a compliment, by the
That
way.
is a compliment, of course. Now he's this prominent figure, right? So, where do you see him standing, and what do you think about him, and how far he has come?
I think he has taken a lot of risks and put together, amazing teams that
Yeah.
has done these, from SpaceX to Tesla to all these things that
Yeah.
revolutionized how people look at technology. But I think underneath that there are so many other experts and people that must have worked, day and night
Of
to bring
course,
these
yeah.
technologies forward. So, we are so, as a country also, we naturally go towards this one person kind of
Yeah.
solution where we think, Parakrama Bahu built the
Yeah.
tanks.
And there
But,
was a lot of
there
people,
must have
yeah.
been, a lot of laborers who did it,
Exactly.
right? So I think it's important to give credit to everybody involved. There must be thousands, if not more, who made all of these possible. But I think as a person, I think he's doing a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there are some policies in his workplaces that I'm not really comfortable with. Where I think we need to treat our employees with respect.
Right.
And we treat them with dignity
Yeah.
and show them the true spirit of a team.
Yeah.
And I would like the youngsters in Sri Lanka to look at not just Elon Musk but
Yeah.
other role models as well, that they can kind of model themselves to become better in the future.
Well, there's one difference between Beshan and Elon Musk. Beshan he's firmer. His feet are firmly on the ground.
Yeah,
Elon Musk is up in Mars.
he's levitating.
He's levitating up in Mars.
Right, yeah.
His
Yes.
feet are firmly planted in Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another difference that actually just popped into my head. He has Tesla. Beshan has Tukla.
That's right.
What?
Talk to us a little bit about the three-wheeler innovation, because that's something we didn't touch on. But tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about? Whose brainchild was that?
So we took the Vega supercar to Geneva in 2020 to the Geneva International Motor Show. We set it up. We were ready for the big show, for the big world exposure, to find investors. And then the show got cancelled, right, due to COVID.
COVID, yeah.
So we spent all of that money, we packed the car back into the container, and then we moved it back to Colombo. So we didn't get the kind of the exposure that we
Yeah.
wanted. Very disappointing, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't stopped. A lot of people is asking, what happened to your supercar? Y'all are just, talk and just nothing's happening.
Right.
But this is the reason. This is a very difficult time to do innovative things. You need investors to come on board. So with all this COVID and all of these other problems this country is facing, lots of issues.
Yeah.
So we realized, hey, why not let's build something that we don't need an investor, that we can take it to the market on our own, something smaller, something easier to build. So we looked at motorbikes to other things, to a small car also that people are looking for. But a small car is also a very expensive thing to do initially. So we thought a three-wheeler is a much more easier task to do. So we started that around middle of 2020. So it's been about 2 years now. And now we are getting ready to get the production versions out.
Right.
We were hoping to have it produced by
So
June.
tell us about. Sorry, I didn't
No,
want
go
to.
ahead.
But I want to know about is it more fuel efficient? What are the benefits of having this or driving this, owning this tuk?
Yeah, it's an electric three-wheeler. When you charge it fully, you can drive 120 kilometers per
Yeah.
charge. It has a solar panel that can give you a 20% more distance.
Okay.
So that is huge, because Sri Lanka has so much sunlight. You can use it for the transportation. The seats fold all the way down, so you create this large cavity for cargo. The rear doors open up because there's no engine.
Right.
Everything
yeah.
is tucked in, so you can use it to deliver a washing machine, a big screen TV, or few vegetable sacks or whatever.
Right.
So it will really change how people look at the three wheeler. We are catering this as a people mover plus a last mile delivery vehicle for the online retailers. So there's a lot of interest, and we are looking at partnering with Bangladesh, with India, and then with a few countries in Africa to take these designs and manufacture it there for those countries, so that we can get the dollars back into this.
How long before we see one of these bad boys on the road?
You will see 15 of those by October.
15?
Yes, and then we will start manufacturing them on a monthly quota basis.
Wow, I can't wait. I can't wait. Can you imagine traveling in a electric tuk-tuk? Maybe I'm taking, I'm going down to Hikkaru in my electric tuk-tuk with like 10 bags of luggage.
Right.
That just sounds like an absolute dream.
We're going to save a lot of money on that as well. That is the best
that's
part.
actually the most important thing.
Most
right?
important
Because
part.
you see a lot
Can I jump in on that?
Sure.
So if you drive a petrol three-wheeler with the current petrol costs, it's about 15 rupees to 17 rupees per kilometer cost for a petrol three-wheeler. But if you drive an electric version, it will go down to about 3 to 4 rupees.
Wow.
That's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
And so three-wheel owners who would have an electric three-wheeler would save about 2 million rupees in the 5-year ownership window.
Yeah.
So that's more money they can spend on their children, on their homes, to improve their own lives. So this has a snowballing effect on how we look at the three-wheel community and the market.
Are you anticipating some sort of resistance from the three-wheeler companies that are monopolizing the industry?
Yeah, I'm sure we will. We want to partner with them rather than seeing them as a competitor.
Yeah.
Because they can't import vehicles right now. So if we can manufacture, they can sell our three-wheelers.
Right, as a distributor. For
yes,
example.
that's right. Yeah. So that all parties will benefit, and we don't have to see this as a you
Enemies.
versus we kind of a thing.
Okay. Hearing and information technology. Any parting words for people for any of the sort?
You can look at the past work that the IT companies have done, whom they work for, to get kind of an good idea about how to trust them and what kind of expertise they have. I think it's important that we all support people who support IT, because IT is like economics. It touches every part of your life, from medicine to food to education. Technology touches your lives on a daily basis. So, focusing on technology will help everybody across the communities around, every part of Sri Lanka. And I want to emphasize that for the youngsters who are listening in, Sri Lanka still has a lot of hope. Yesterday's match was a good example. Like, you need to play until the last ball to win this game, and we also can. And you all also should. There is no point running away from this country. If you stick to the basics, if you stay here and do your best, I think we can pull this country forward and make it a much more a real paradise than what it was used to be.
All right, there you have it, folks. The innovator himself, Dr. Beshan Kulapala, has graced us with his presence for the last almost hour and a half, really, with a fascinating conversation. Beshan, I thank you so much for coming our way, and my gosh, we'd love to have you back. And
Anytime. Yes.
We're
You
not
should come drive the Vega car sometime with
Can I?
Maradona. So,
do not trust her with it, but I will be there.
Yes.
No, I'm coming. I'm more interested than you.
We'll definitely be there. We'd love to
Super.
come and try it out, and also we'd also like to take take the little electric tuk-tuk for a
Absolutely,
spin
yes,
as well.
yes. We have a few other electric, vehicles as well. You can drive all of them.
Wow.
Wow, I can't wait for this one.
That's our next YouTube video. All right, right there. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you so
Beshan
much.
Kulapala, ladies and gentlemen. You'll see the video that we just took of this interview up on our social media and our YouTube and all of that. But once again, thank you so much for gracing us with your
My
presence.
pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We'll see you soon. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to more music right about now. CNCO.